All right, thank you for being here tonight and joining me for this presentation on backyard chickens. So some of the goals that I have for this presentation is for you all to learn a bit about chickens, the benefits of having backyard chickens, and getting your eggs from them rather than factory farms. And then also we're going to do some fun egg activities, which will look at the different physical attributes that the two types of eggs have, factory farm and backyard chickens, and then also a way that you can suspend eggs to see how fresh they are. So backyard chickens are becoming more and more of a trend, but they have quite a bit of history in the U.S. During wartime, there was actually quite a few campaigns to have people raise chickens and have small farms or just garden plots kind of a thing, because food was short and scarce, and so it was one of the requirements for any landowner or property owner kind of a thing. Oh, you can't see all of it, but there's a beware chickens are on the premises thing here. So backyard chicken raising has become chic, so many people have picked up on the hobby. Prefab chicken coops and runs are now available nearly everywhere, besides feed stores. So Costco, Fred Meyer, Walmart carry them, but a lot of people don't know that you can convert an old shed, dog house, that sort of a thing, into a chicken coop. So my own experience with backyard chickens. So I started raising chickens in 2010 in Juneau, and at that time it was very difficult to find supplies in town. We had one Swampy Acres. It was kind of a farm, a home farm, that would bring in stuff from lower 48, and so you could get your feed there. And then once a year they'd bring in a bunch of baby chicks. Back in the day, so chicks are still mailed through the U.S. Post Service, and there were very few companies that would send chicks to Alaska. However, because of the growing trend, more and more are sending them here. So the Juneau ordinance allowed 6 hens per property without having a conditional use permit. No roosters. Most cities and towns have to pass an ordinance to allow backyard chickens, and because they're considered livestock, and generally there's no rule specifying that livestock can be had on just a regular land. So Anchorage ordinance is that they allow 5 hens for each property up to 6,000 square feet, and then if it's bigger than 6,000, for each additional 1,000 that they have, they may have an additional hen, but still no roosters. You just have to keep in mind that if there is an HOA, they may not allow hens or roosters. So someone in Kempton Hills had gotten them, and then they had to get rid of them because the HOA said nope. So here's some pictures of my tree range eggs. So I made a little bit of not really a business, but just fun, and my nickname was Tree. So one of the things that you can see in this picture is the difference in egg size. So this one here is actually a double yolker. These two are regular, and this is a pullet egg. So that is from a hen that has just started laying, and then they'll grow in time as the hen grows to maturity. And then another thing you can notice is the difference in the egg types and colors. When I first started, I had 3 different breeds. So they were all brown laying hens, but they still had some differentiation in the egg color. So here are some pictures. This is my chicken Sugar, and this was, I can't remember its name. It's a black Astrolorp. And then this is a fun anomaly that we had where there was no yolk. There was just whites. So there's your Auntie Leela, and that's my favorite chicken, Sugar. She's a Buff Orpington. And actually these are the same types of chickens. And this one's from Australia, and they have a beautiful sheen, but they're both dual purpose, cold tolerant breeds that are good layers. So benefits, factory versus backyard. So one of the first questions is humane conditions. Chickens and turkeys are exempt from the Humane Slaughter Act, a federal law that requires some animals to be rendered insensible to pain prior to slaughter. So the way that, the eggs that you buy at the grocery store, generally, if they don't say that they are cage-free, are kept in what are called battery cages, and they have less than a sheet of paper to stand on, and that's where they stay their entire life. I don't really want to touch too much on how horrible a life it is for chickens in those factory farms, because it's quite depressing and sad, and I don't want to cry. But so generally what happens is after about 2 years, these hens are then usually gassed to kill them because the egg production isn't as prolific, and the factory farms, whether it's for meat or for eggs, go for the most production with the least amount of input. So backyard chickens, one of the benefits is that you can supplement their diet with food scraps, so that you have less waste in the household. It's similar to, kind of doing a compost bin. You just throw all your scraps out and the chickens eat what they want. They can't have avocados or potato peels, and it's suggested not to give them onions. Can anyone think of why you may not want to give your chickens onions?
I don't know.
Or eggs might taste like onions.
That's right. So it does affect the egg taste.
Interesting.
What if you like onions in your eggs?
Then you can feed them onions. Or if they get into the chives, you're just gonna have it.
Ooh. Omelet in your egg.
There you go. Start infusing them. Have a whole new business. So a study found that between 2007 and 2014, Americans wasted 150 tons of food per day, which is about 1 pound per person per day. So if you consider that amount of waste that is just going into the landfill, not only the resources that have to first grow it, but then for its decomposition, instead you could be putting it towards something that you can, in the end, eat as well, via the chicken eggs. So you are what you eat. So would you prefer to have an egg from a hen that has been crammed in a cage all her life and has only ever eaten layer feed and at times been purposely starved to make her lay more? Or would you like to eat an egg that comes from a happy hen who gets to scratch and have dust baths and has adequate space to roam, eats layer feed but also bugs, foliage, and other good things, and who is not physically abused? Just a little heartstring pull
Yes.
right there. Yeah, I did that purposefully. So the basic biology, chicken breed and use. So there's hundreds of different chicken breeds. They started out as jungle fowl, and then over their use, throughout time, different breeds have emerged and been identified. Generally for chickens, you have there's really 3 purposes. You have meat birds, you have egg birds, and you have ornamental birds. What we generally have here in Alaska are called dual purpose, so they're of decent size and they are pretty good layers as well. So you get the best of both worlds. So for instance, once your hen stopped laying at about 3 years of age, You could then cull the animal and eat it for dinner. And if you happen to get a rooster with your chicks, you could eat him. Well,
You must eat him.
or give him
him
some
Give him
away.
away.
Yeah. So egg production. Eggs are born with approximately 1,000 eggs in their body, and they produce eggs on a 25-hour cycle. So that's generated, the process is affected by daylight. So the more daylight there is, the more production there's going to be. In factory farms, they have the lights on 24/7 to keep that production going.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's also why you usually see more egg production in the summertime than you do in the winter. It slows down in the winter, but it gives the girls a chance to rest. So generally for dual purpose breeds, even for the eggers that they use in factory farms, they lay about 250 eggs a year. The most recorded was it was the black Astrolorp, and she laid 364 eggs in 365 days. So she again was the anomaly, but generally it's 250 to 300 is considered a pretty good layer. So this graph kind of goes over the different types of breeds and some of the names of them, but it also goes over the egg colors and what the different animals have or hatch or lay. Oh my goodness. So the egg color is determined by the bird's breed, and it is applied to the shell. It's a calcium shell while it's going through the oviduct. And so that's the track that the egg follows before it's laid. So once a bird's color is determined, that's what it stays as. So the egg color doesn't differentiate. However, there can be times where there's an excess of the chemical or enzyme that's excluded. So there's speckles, or you can have rings sometimes. It's pretty cool. So the secret is on the inside. You can determine the hen's nutrition through the color of the egg yolk. So now we're going to do a little bit of an experiment. We're going to get into groups and experience the physical differences of some eggs. So if you could all come up to the table, we're going to crack some eggs. Alright, so we're going to need some people to take notes and some people to crack some eggs. Okay. So Ev and then Claire, you're going to be my egg crackers?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
That'd be fine.
What about me?
You gotta take notes. Okay, Mary, I'm gonna come right here.
Alright.
Kevin.
Okay. Which one of you gets one of those ones? Which one of you gets one of these ones?
Do I just hack it?
So what
Not
we're
yet.
gonna try to do is you're gonna try to crack it without breaking the yolk.
The yolk?
The yellow part.
That's
Maybe I should be an egg cracker.
Is that gonna be difficult?
Yeah, maybe. So not try to smack it and the crow comes out. Just
Right. Do you want me to do a demonstration?
Yes.
Yeah, I like to do a demo for him.
Okay, so what we're gonna do, just lightly, get it till you crack it a little bit, and then use your fingers to pull it apart.
So the egg doesn't crack.
Right, so that yolk is
Yolk.
intact.
Okay. So, and we don't want to try and get it in there
The shell.
Yeah, try not to get the shell.
You know what? If the shell gets in there, it's not the biggest deal because we're not planning on eating these eggs.
Yeah, that we're not gonna store them and mix them.
Okay, try and crack that egg, son.
I don't care.
Nah. Do it right there.
I'm not very quacky.
Don't be shy.
There you go. Oh.
You might have quacked the yolk.
Yeah.
Put the shells in there.
Okay.
Look at it.
I can't quack dumb thing.
Can
Here,
I?
let me try it. Let me do it, Claire.
No.
Car, just kind of like tap it, but not too hard. Like,
Maybe try this one.
yeah, maybe try the other one, 'cause that's hard.
Yeah, we can.
Look,
Let's put
it's
these on.
brownish.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Here,
other
let
one's
me try one.
reddish.
Try it, okay?
No.
All right. Well, come on. Let's do it.
Just
Keep
hit
going.
it.
Hit
Go
it.
for it.
Hit it. Hit it. Come on. A little harder.
A little harder.
A little harder.
Drop.
What did you crack it on the bowl?
Yeah, maybe the bowl. Yeah, the bowl's tougher.
Oh,
There you go. All right. Pull it apart. A little more. There you go.
Just like we did them the other day, honey, when we made brownies.
Do you take it?
And,
Okay.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's okay.
Okay, it's all good.
We can use both
Okay.
sides.
So did you do a brown one or a white one last time?
I did brown
Brown.
one.
You did brown, so you want to do a white one, don't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the brown
Oh,
one.
good job.
Okay. Oh.
Ooh.
Nope, I didn't see that coming.
You did 2 white ones?
Oh, I did a demonstration.
Oh, that's
But didn't you just do a brown one last time, Clever?
Yes.
Oh, good job.
Oh, that was better than the other one.
Here, Claire. You need to do a white one too now.
Yeah, I am. This is a white one. I only have a white one left.
So, Andy, you said the darker the yolk, the healthier the egg? Or the
The
healthier,
healthier
the
the
chicken?
hen. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I haven't used the bowl, honey. Come on.
Nicely done.
Ah, good job.
Ah, I broke it.
You guys are good.
Okay.
What's
That
my
was
quacking
fun.
the egg?
So this is gonna show us
Whoa.
the anatomy of the inside
Where's
of the egg.
Anytime.
What's a baby chick?
Nope.
Well, so these ones aren't baby chicks yet. So these are all from females without, there's not a rooster.
Look
so
at
none
that
of them
one.
are fertilized.
Look at that one. Look
Oh,
at mine.
I know. So these are all a single-celled organism.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Well, I guess it's not an organism. It's just a single cell.
That
Single
was
chicken.
fun. I want to do
Yeah.
that again.
Okay, well now what we're gonna do is we're gonna observe some of the differences of what we see about these eggs. So now, did you notice when you did the cracking if there was any difference in how hard it was to crack?
So
Yeah.
the yellow one on the table, as I banged it as medium hard, but I didn't break it, so it's kind of hard for me to break that white one. So I did the brown one, and then it cracked easier.
I think I did that one too hard.
And
So
then,
it broke super easy.
The brown ones the eggs were easier on the bowl to crack for me.
Okay. So did you notice any difference between the white egg and the brown egg?
So the
Which
brown
one was harder for you to open?
I think it was the brown one, because the white one I easily did it.
Easily cracked it.
Yeah.
Okay.
the white one was hard for me to crack it. The brown ones were easy for me to crack it.
Okay. What about pulling it apart?
Oh, that was pretty easy.
For both
Well,
of them?
well, it was a little hard for me on my first one because it was only in a little
Yeah.
crack. So it was kind of hard a little.
Okay.
And I have big hands, so I can.
So he can crack it easy.
I can go like this.
So now, what do you notice about the difference in the egg yolk color?
Okay, so this one's dark, and this one's dark orange, and then this one's bright yellow.
Yeah. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and then this egg is like this egg is funny.
It looks like a carrot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's like a cute squish, but it's a baby one.
Now, what about the shape? Do they all, besides the ones that were the yolk was
They look
broken,
like
What did you say?
that one.
the
Looks,
shape?
The shape? It was an oval.
it looks like an oval.
but the
Some
yolk
looks
is
sm-
round.
This one looks smaller, and that one looks medium, and this one. I
So-
think that one looks bigger.
So this one's medium.
I figured out something.
What?
It looks like Mickey Mouse.
This one is so this one's medium. This one's smaller than this one.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, it looks like a chair. It looks like a globe.
Oh, that's a good use of your
It
words
does.
there.
Yeah.
So what about the it's called the albumin or the white egg white? So there's two different parts to the egg white. There's called what's the tight white, which is right around it, and you can see how it kind of
Oh, I see.
You see
I
the
see. It's
difference?
kind of white on the outside.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the loose white, which is over here. So do you see how there's some texture here and it's kind of round?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then this is just like liquid.
Yeah.
Do you notice any difference between the two types of eggs, so the orange eggs or the yellow eggs, as far as that tight white?
This one, you can't see the white on this one because it's kind of dark orange, but you can see it on this one, on the white.
It looks like little tiny stripes.
Yeah, it looks like straight boom boom.
On mine, oh, that one looks white. That one, oh, there's some white right there.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's-
it's all mushy.
Yep, that's the actual.
Mushy? Mushy. Yeah, it's
Your
mushy.
finger.
It's mushy.
It's so mushy.
Yeah, it's mushy. Mushy.
feels
Mushy. No,
So this right here is the actual egg and genetic material. And then what happens is when this is fertilized, the baby grows off of all the nutrition inside of the yolk.
That's
mushy.
cool.
Yeah.
Mushy.
Okay, so by looking at them, can you tell which one's the oldest?
I think it's that one. No, that one.
And why would you say that?
Cause it looks pretty. No.
No, that
I can't
one's
I can't-
This one's the biggest because it has the biggest. That one's the biggest on your plate,
But
and then
we're talking about age, how old they are.
That one looks like.
So there's no way by looking at these on the without tasting them or smelling them, who's the oldest?
I think it's pretty much that one.
Okay.
I think this one.
It just depends which one hatches first.
You're gonna eat them.
Yeah, eat them.
Yeah,
Maybe
no-
that
no-
one on Claire's plate. I think maybe the flat one is the oldest.
This
Okay.
one, yeah, it's kind of like I can see the whiteness right here, so it looks like there's a little it looks big, but bigger than these ones because they are it is bigger like a globe.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for helping me with that part of the presentation.
Let's go.
So we'll be doing more in just a minute.
Oh, we can do more. All right.
So again, you probably noticed some of the same things, that there are some differences in the two types of eggs. Yeah, some very distinct differences. So,
Uh-huh.
backyard chicken eggs have been proven to have less cholesterol, less saturated fat, more vitamin A, E, and D, more omega-3 fatty acids, and more beta-carotene. All eggs have cholesterol, however, backyard eggs have less, and it's considered to be the good
Oh, I said.
or the healthy cholesterol.
What's she doing?
Hey, Evan and Claire.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Clever. Come on.
So, Evan, from looking at these eggs, which one would you say came from a factory farm?
The orange one.
So, Miss Claire,
Yes.
by looking at these eggs, which one would you think came from the factory farm, or one of the hens that was in a cage?
That's a hard question.
What did Auntie teach us already? The healthier the chicken, the darker the yolk. So which
That one.
Yeah. So if it was from a chicken in a cage, which one do you think that would be? That's not very healthy, not very happy.
I think I
That
think
one.
this one doesn't look very happy to me.
Well, that one, yeah, that one got a little cracked, but
It's called a little smushed.
smushed.
So it's probably a little mad about me doing that.
So what do you guys think? I think maybe the lighter yolk would be the one that came from a factory.
I think
From the white eggs.
let me squish it. Okay, okay, that's kind of mushy. Mushy.
Already?
Yup.
Okay. All right.
This one's definitely the softest.
Okay.
That one's
I'm gonna
softest.
go light yellow, Nancy.
All right. Well, good.
Good job
Good
figuring
job.
that out, you
So,
guys.
So
with
this one's from the cage.
nope, no, this
No.
one, the light ones are from the cage. That means that they're they
And the
have.
hens, please stop. Go sit back with them.
Can I feel yours?
They're not happy chickens. They're not happy hens in the cage, right?
And they haven't had as good of food. They don't have lots of green things to eat, which makes the
And
color of
bugs.
their eggs, and bugs makes the color of their eggs darker.
What's the waterfall?
We'll see that in just a second.
Okay.
So with backyard hens, you know the age of the eggs, or at least very close to it. Factory eggs can sit up to 2 weeks before being packaged and sent to stores. There they can stay on the shelf for a very long time. Backyard eggs have a natural protection against bacteria called the bloom that's deposited on the eggs when they come out of the hen, so they don't have to be washed or refrigerated. The bloom on factory eggs is washed off, so they have to be refrigerated to prevent bacteria growth.
Interesting.
So egg age continued. Egg cartons have the day of the year they were filled at the factory. So day 177 were packaged on June 26. We happen to have 3 different ages of eggs here. So these are the ones that are June 26. These next ones were packaged on day 198, which was on July 17th. And these ones were packaged most recently on day 211, which is July 30th.
And that's the day
So
of
that's-
the year.
That's the day of the year, so out of 365 that they were put in the cart. So they can have been collected for a time before in the factory. They're then put into the cartons and shipped off.
So the date on them, the day, that's when they go in the carton.
Yes.
Okay.
So then you have to consider there's travel time to get to the store, get them on the shelf, etc. And really there was, looking at the days on eggs today at the store, quite a difference range. So some of them, obviously some are a month old already, and other ones are only about 10 days. So you have to look at that. So we're gonna do a water test, and the egg's buoyancy can tell you if the egg is fresh, not so fresh, or bad. Okay, so we'll start with the oldest egg, and we're gonna drop it in the water.
Can we do one?
I can't see it.
Oh, sorry there, Evan. So you can see what,
It looks so big.
I know, this might not have been the best
Vase
vase to use it in. But if it was bobbing, then we would know it's a bad rotten egg. If it's up on its point, that means that it's a little bit older, and if it's on its side, that means it's really fresh. So we can maybe. Oh, I got it. I got it.
Maybe we can
Ah!
do it.
Well, we can do it later, but we'll finish the presentation. So these ones are the most,
Let's see the white one.
well,
They're supposedly the freshest egg, right?
supposedly the freshest because they were packaged the most recently. But you can see that it's on its side. So.
It's on its side more than that other egg was.
Yep. So through the water test, we can, yes, tell that this egg is fresher than these eggs that are about a month old.
But that doesn't have anything to do with their nutritional value.
No, it does not have anything to do with their nutritional value. But if you were to say have your own backyard hens and you found some eggs, like sometimes girls like to go and lay places besides the coop.
Oh, yeah.
If you need to determine are these eggs still good to eat, you could do the water test. Or you just crack them open and smell them.
There you go. Rotten egg.
What? So if it smells bad,
So
get it out of there.
other benefits, you learn responsibility, or you can have your kids learn responsibility. You learn about the food cycle and where your food comes from. Their antics are amusing. Their poop has the highest density of nutrients for fertilizer. Socialized chickens are very friendly. You don't need a rooster, and they can live up to 10 years if you want them more as pets. And then other cool facts really quick. So chickens' brains hemisphere work independently, so they can be asleep on one side and have their eyes open and watching the flock on the other. For most breeds, you can tell the color of the egg they are going to lay by the color of their ear. So if they have a white ear, they're going to have white eggs. If they have red ears, they're going to lay brown eggs.
What's their ear?
It's this little thing on the side of their neck. They don't have outward ears. And then the closest living relative to Tyrannosaurus Rex is the chicken. So is there any questions about chickens or backyard or eggs?
No.
No? Okay, well thank you all for attending, and that is the end. Woo!
Alright. See, that wasn't so bad, was it?
No, not for fun.